Inheriting a home can feel like winning the lottery and finding out you have to assemble a 10,000 piece puzzle with no instructions. Probate, taxes, and family disagreements can turn what feels like a blessing into a bit of a circus. So let's chat about what to expect and how to make it easier. Grab a coffee or whatever keeps you sane and let's talk. Hey, I'm Sunit Agrawal, and over the years I've worked with families figuring out what to do with inherited properties right here in Sacramento. And let me tell you, it's rarely just about the home. It's about the memories, the emotions, and sometimes those awkward family meetings where everyone has an opinion. Today I want to share some tips and ideas, sprinkled with a little bit of humor to help you get through this. First things first, it's okay to feel a lot of things at once. A family home holds on to so many memories, celebrations, quiet nights, maybe even that questionable wallpaper in the living room that no one has ever gotten around to changing. When it's passed down, it can feel like a second goodbye. Whatever you're feeling, whether it's sadness, frustration, or even relief, hey, it's okay. Give yourself the space to process. And when family dynamics come into play, try to keep communication open. A little understanding can go a long way in keeping the peace. And remember, you're not just inheriting a house. You're inheriting the leaky roof, the squeaky stairs, and whatever mystery smell is coming from the basement. Take your time and maybe call a contractor. All right, let's get into what needs to happen next. The legal stuff can feel overwhelming, but knowing what's ahead can make it easier. Let's talk about probate. If there's a will, it'll go through probate. Basically, a court process to make everything official. If you live here in Sacramento, you'll need to file with the Sacramento County Probate Court. If you're outside of Sacramento, check your local county's probate process. And now taxes. So depending on your state, there may be inheritance or estate taxes to deal with. Sacramento, California doesn't have an inheritance tax, but there are federal estate tax rules to watch out for. If you're not in Sacramento, double check your state's rules online. Let's talk about those special situations. Like if your home has significant debt, like unpaid mortgages, that debt usually has to be settled before ownership is transferred. And if it's a rental property, make sure to check the tenant agreements before making decisions. If you're in Sacramento, local tenant laws might apply, so get familiar with those. If you're somewhere else, look up your area's regulations. This part can feel like a mountain, but you don't have to climb it alone. A good attorney or tax advisor can be a lifesaver, or at least make sure you're not missing anything important. When it comes to family homes, everyone has an opinion. One person might want to keep it, another might want to sell, and someone else might suggest turning it into a cat sanctuary. But here's how to keep things from turning into a full-blown soap opera. Start the conversation early. The sooner you talk, the better. Find out what everyone's thinking and try to meet in the middle where you can. Bring in a mediator if needed. Sometimes having a neutral third party like a lawyer or family counselor can help keep things calm and focused. Plus, they'll make sure Uncle Bob doesn't monopolize the conversation. Get those agreements in writing. Once you all decide on a plan, put it in writing. Even a simple document can prevent misunderstandings later. Remember, verbal agreements are like New Year's resolutions. They don't always stick. I've seen families come out stronger by keeping the lines of communication open, even when things got tough. It's not always easy, but it's worth it. Let me share a real-life example from right here in Sacramento. I worked with a family who inherited their late grandmother's house in Midtown. It was a beautiful old Victorian house, but it needed a lot of work. One sibling wanted to keep it and restore it, while the other two wanted to sell it. We eventually brought in a mediator to facilitate a family meeting. Eventually, they all decided to sell. They used the funds to buy smaller homes for each sibling. It wasn't easy, but they stayed respectful of each other, and it worked out in the end. If there's one thing inheriting a property teaches, it's the value of planning ahead. A will or a trust can save so much stress for your loved ones. For example, a trust can spell out exactly what happens to a family home, whether it's sold, rented, or passed down. If you're in Sacramento, there are great local attorneys who can help you set this up. If you're somewhere else, look up estate planning services in your area. Think of it as giving your family a roadmap. They'll thank you for it. Whether you decide to keep the home, sell it, or rent it out, this is a chance to start fresh. If you're selling, A little decluttering and staging can go a long way. If you're keeping it, think about what changes you want to make it feel like your own. I worked with a family in Land Park who turned their inherited home into a vacation rental. Now, it wasn't their original plan, but it ended up being a great way to honor their loved ones while generating income. They used the extra funds to support local causes their parents cared about. It's amazing how creative solutions can come out of any of these situations. Whatever you choose, give yourself time. This is your story to write, and no matter what happens, the leaky faucet isn't going to fix itself. Before we wrap up, let me share a few tools and resources that can help make this process much smoother. Probate checklists. If you're in Sacramento, you can find probate checklists on the Sacramento County Court's website. If you're not in Sacramento, search for checklists specific to your county. Expense calculators. Budgeting tools can help you figure out costs like taxes, repairs, and maintenance. Because trust me, those costs add up faster than you think. If you're in Sacramento, local financial advisors might have insights tailored to our area. Legal documentation services. If you need to set up a will or trust, websites like LegalZoom can help. If you're in Sacramento, check out local services for more personalized options. Professional help. If you're overwhelmed, hiring a Sacramento-based realtor with experience in inherited properties can make a world of difference. They'll help you price, stage, and sell with a lot less stress. Here are some common questions people ask me about inheriting property. What if there's no will? Well, if you're in Sacramento, the court will appoint an administrator to divide assets according to California state law. Outside Sacramento, check your state's rules online. What if one sibling can't agree? Hey, try mediation first. If that doesn't work, the court may decide how the property is going to be handled. Can I sell the house before probate's done? Usually no. The probate process needs to wrap up before any sales are finalized. Sacramento residents, check with local probate attorneys for specifics. What about cultural or regional differences? Inheritance laws vary widely. In Sacramento, California's laws apply. But if you're outside the area, make sure to get advice from a local expert. How do I handle properties co-listed with distant relatives? This can get tricky. In Sacramento, you likely need a real estate attorney to help negotiate a buyout or a sale agreement that's fair to all parties. I hope this gave you a little clarity and maybe a laugh or two. If it did, give this video a thumbs up and share it with someone who might need it. And if you've got questions or just want to share your experience, leave a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so we can keep these conversations going. See you next time.